Hello everyone, welcome back in another video. I am Vaibhav. Today date is the 13th of September 2022 and in our today's video we are going to see Spring. So Spring is nothing but it is a framework, and also we are called as a framework of framework because it support the different frameworks which are present like Hibernate, like EJB, JSF, Strut, like all of those types of different types of frameworks are there. So basically, our Spring is introduced in year 2020, in 2003 by Rod Rod Johnson in 2023. So it can provide the structure and pattern for the different frameworks. That's why we called as a framework of framework. Okay. So a spring framework can find the solution for the different problems which are occur at the time of cleanings. Okay. Spring framework can provide many modules. So some modules are like IOC, AOP, web MVC, like different types of modules are there in our Spring framework. Okay. So after that, now we going to see some advantages of our Spring framework. So some advantages of frameworks are like uh, uh, predefined templates, loose coupling, easy to test, lightweight, fast development, powerful abstraction, and declarative support. So let's we see one by one. So initially, first one is the predefined templates. So we know that predefined templates means there is some library which are having some predefined code or predefined methods are there. So we can Spring framework provide the templates like in JDBC, Hibernate, JPA, etc. The technology which is need to write too much we need to write too much code. That time we are using that templates. Let's take an example for the JDBC. That means Java database connectivity. In this technology, you don't need to write code too much. That time we are using some previous code which is stored, or some templates which are having predefined within our JDBC. Suppose there is some condition, like there is some occurring some exception. That time we have to write a exception handling for that particular exception. That time we are using a try catch block. In our previously videos we are saying about try catch blocks. Okay, so by using that previous methods which are having in terms of templates, due to that template we are not need to write that code again and again. We are easily use that template instead of writing the code. That is the one major advantage of our string. After that, the next advantage is that loosely coupling. uh, in our initial level, initial some videos we are deeply discuss about loose coupling and tightly coupling. That means suppose there are two methods which are dependent on each other. Suppose there is a method A and method B. If there are having some internal relation between each other, that time if I changing some things within a method A, that directly impacting on method B. That's we called it tightly coupled. And vice versa, we can change in method A that does not directly impact or affect on method B. That's we called as a loosely coupled. That means they both are not dependent on each other, or they are not having interrelation between each other. That is the one of the major advantage of Spring, is that the Spring is loosely coupled. Okay. After that, the next advantage of Spring is that light in weight. because Spring framework is light in weight because it is follow the POJO. POJO means uh, plain old Java, plain old Java objects are there. That means there are some particular data of a Java code, suppose, and we are using that previous code or calling that previous code which is already written within that POJO. That's why we no need to write that code repeatability or increase the size of that code. Because of that POJO, the velocity of code should be minimum. That means line of code should be minimum. That's why we achieve the lighten weight in our Spring. That is the major advantage. That is our Spring is light in weight. After that, the next advantage is that fast development. The development, the dependency injection feature of a Spring framework, and it support the various frameworks. That means, as we see, the dependency of injection. That means they are independent. They are not dependent on each other. That frameworks are not dependent on each other. That's why they develop they are fast development. That means if we are developing any code, that time we are changing within one code, so that is not impacting on another code. That means we are easily and fastly develop that code. That is the major advantage of Spring. After that, the next advantage is that powerful abstraction. The It provides the powerful abstraction to the Java EE. That means Java Enterprise Edition, such as a JMS and IDBC. That or we can also having like that IPA and JTA. That means we are using our Spring for a Java Enterprise Edition. We are see whole series on Java Edition and their different features. So in that case, we in these videos we are discussing about the JEE Java EE edition. That means Java Enterprise Edition. That means in that edition we are using a web server connectivity. In that case, we are using a Spring framework. Okay. After that, the next and last advantage is that declarative support. That means it provides the declarative support from a caching, validation, transit, and formatting. That means it having its declarative support for the Spring. After that, the one of the major point is that at the initial we are creating a string project. That time string framework. That time we have to follow the some procedure of some stages are there. So at initial stage we are creating a particular object by their name. After that, we have to create at initial level we have to create the class. We have to create an initial level. We have to create a class. After that class, we have to create the XML file to provide the values. That means for that particular class, we are giving some data in terms of XML files, and we are giving providing some value to that XML file. After that, the next step is to create the test class. That means we are providing some values to that class. After that, providing the value, we creating a test class for that particular class. After that, the next step is that load the Spring jar file. That means there are two types of files are there. There are jar files and war files. So we are discuss briefly about jar files and war files in next video. So jar files means there are a collection of data which is contained within the one jar, and we are directly putting that data in by that jar into our framework, and we are use that jar files in our framework. After that, the last step is run the test class. That means we are creating that test class, and we get now we are run that test class, and we performing the operation by using that Spring framework, and we get the as per requirement required the output by using a Spring framework. So that is the Spring framework. That is our Spring framework. Spring framework is a frame. It's a frameworks of frameworks. So This is overall about Spring Framework. Thank you.